G'day guys, welcome back to another YouTube video on my channel. Today we'll be going through my round 9 tips. Here we go. Lots of close games in round 8, but I really enjoyed watching most of the games last week. So anyways, let's not waste any more time and let's get stuck into it. The first game's between Freo and Collingwood at Optus Stadium. A really late game at Optus Stadium. 8:10 p.m. in Melbourne, so which will be 6:10, so not really late. It'll be late for us. Now, anyways, Freo, Collingwood, let's have a look at the form guide. Freo, they're not bad no form. They've just been like inconsistent. They performed their absolute worst performance against St Kilda last week at Marvel Stadium. Saints ran away to a 61-point win, keeping Freo to just 33, probably the lowest for this year. In Collingwood, their winning streak just snapped last week after Jack Chris missed a shot after the siren to beat Jalong. So Jalong have just held on by 3 points. It'll be an interesting game, but I think I'm going to tip the Pies to get this done, because even though it's at the stadium, Fremantle could put on a fight. But I think Collingwood's got to get this done by, Collingwood to get this done by 15 points, and big call here, Fremantle lead a 3/4 time, but then Collingwood fight back and win it by that margin, of which is 15. The next game is between St Kilda and Carlton at the MCG. Strange enough, it's a Saints home game, not Carlton home game. I don't know. I get it. Because it's a Spuds game, so it always has to be a St Kilda home game, no matter if it's at the MCG or Marvel Stadium. Because last year we had that Spuds game against Collingwood, and they played it at the G. Because it's a Spuds game, it's a St Kilda home game. But anyways, let's not talk about that and focus on the game. St Kilda last week put on an absolute clinical after beating Fremantle by like 61 points. And Carlton, well, they're back to the losers list after getting demolished by Adelaide by like 60 points or something. So, I don't know who's going to win. Should I tip the Saints or should I tip the Blues? I don't know who's going to get up, because it'll be a close game, but I reckon Carlton should know the ground better than the Saints, because Carlton, they play more games at the MCG than the Saints do. So I'm going to tip the Blues to get this done, because I think they do know the MCG more than the Saints. So I'm going to tip the Blues. I'm going to tip the Blues by let's go 20 points, and big call. Charlie Curnow kicks at least 2 goals. The next game is between Melbourne and Hawthorn at the MCG. Hawthorn last week did celebrate the 100th anniversary with a massive win over Richmond last week. Don't know what's going on with the Tigers. They lost by like 55 points last week, the Tigers. So, look, Melbourne, they're starting to get on a roll here, but I don't think they'll get past the Hawks, which is really strong this year. So, because look, Melbourne, they're starting to like get up and about after winning 3 in a row, where they beat West Coast last week. But I don't think they'll beat Hawthorn at the MCG. So, and I don't see it coming. So, I'm going to tip the Hawks to get this done. Let's go Hawthorn to get this done by 37 points. Big call. Game is going to be tight in the first half, but in the second half, Hawthorn has run away to that margin. So, Hawthorn by 37 points. The next game is between Essendon and Sydney Swans at the Marvel Stadium. This could be interesting, though. Look, Essendon, they're on a roll here. They've recently beaten North Melbourne by just 3 points, and they do know Marvel Stadium well. And Sydney, new coach, but last game they played on Marvel Stadium, they did absolutely demolish North Melbourne. Went to the game, it was absolutely shithole with Cardi and Sammy FC. Speaking of Cardi, big shout out to you, Cardi, for surviving the overnight live stream at Frankston Station. Like, seriously, Good job on that. Wow, that is so unbelievable. I don't know how did he survive at Frankston Station. Anyways, let's forget about that. I don't know who to tip. I reckon I'm gonna take a risk and tip Essendon because look, Essendon they're a really strong team at Marvel Stadium and they should. And yeah, Sydney they kind of have a poor record at the Marvel Stadium, so I'm going to tip the Bombers to get this done by a really tight one. Let's go 7 points in a big upset. So my big call is Archie Perkins to kick the last 2 goals to seal the Dons to win. Alright, the next game is between Gold Coast and the Western Bulldogs at TIO Stadium. Now look, obviously when Gold Coast play at TIO Stadium, they're so hard to beat. And you know, last time I went to Jalong when I played at TIO Stadium, even though the Cats are a good side, they got absolute thumped by 64 points. So it's always gonna be really hard if you're playing the Suns at TIO Stadium because Gold Coast they're like, look, I just can't say one word. Can say all but one word. They are just bloody unbelievable at up in the heat in Northern Australia. So no doubt I'll tip Gold Coast to get this done. Gold Coast to get this done by, let's go 40 points because big call, they lead all change and never let the Dogs in it. So that's why they're going to get home by 40 points. Alright, the next game is the big showdown between Port Adelaide and Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. Adelaide's record have been absolutely impressive since the start of the season. They've literally haven't won all but one game at the Adelaide Oval. Like that was against Jalong in the gather round in round 5. Whenever you're playing against Adelaide, if like a bottom 10 team, you're absolutely cooked because Adelaide, they're a really serious threat. But unlike Port Adelaide though, at the start of the season they've been inconsistent. But however, they've been improving. Well, not last week. They lost to the Dogs by fucking 90 points. Damn. At Marvel Stadium because Port has got absolutely cooked. I reckon Adelaide's going to get this done because the past showdowns I've watched Adelaide, they're just the masters of it. So, yeah, I've seen Adelaide win all the time all the showdowns I've watched. So, I'm going to tip the Crows to get this done. By 20 points, big call, Tex to kick at least 3 goals. The best showdown I've ever watched was in 2022 where Jordan Dawson kicked the goal after the siren to beat the Power by 4 points. And in 2022, take a look.
There's nothing the coaches can do. It's only one man to cover himself in glory. It's coming back and got there. The scenes at the Adelaide Oval.
Alright, anyways, I've already tipped the showdown. The next game is between Richmond and West Coast at the MCG. Now, this game is going to be a really hard one to tip. West Coast, they are 0 8 and something. I don't know if they're 0 8 or something. I believe they are. Yes, they are 0 8. And Richmond are 2 6. Now, obviously, West Coast are trying to fight for their first win of the season, 2025. Against the Richmond side, can they get the job done? I don't know. I think I'm going to tip West Coast to get this done because I feel like the Eagles are a better team than Richmond to get this job done. So I'm going to take a big risk and I'm going to tip the West Coast Eagles to get this done in a really tight game. Let's go. Let's get this done by 14 points. Big call. The game will not go over 30 points as these two teams are trying to keep their season alive. It's at the MCG, so I'm going to take a big risk. Sorry if I'm going to get this wrong, but hopefully, fingers crossed. I'm just hoping for the best. The next game is between Jalong and GWS at GMHBA Stadium. Now, look, obviously, Jalong, last 4 games against the Giants at the Cattery haven't gone too well as didn't get over the line by like the narrow margin losses we had when we played the Giants at GMHBA. Last year, obviously, we got robbed from a goal. Thought it was close to kick a goal, and then it was turned out to be touched. And then Toby Green went on and kicked the winning goal to beat Jalong by 4 points. Honestly, I did watch the game, and I went stormed out of the house and fucking banged the front door and absolutely crashed out after the final siren went off when the Giants won their 4th game in a row at the Cattery. Giants are a good team, and they've lost 3 in a row. Can they avoid losing 4 in a row against Geelong at GMHBA? Because whoever wins this, it's gonna like climb up the ladder really significantly. I'm gonna back myself with my own team, the Geelong Cats, and I'm gonna predict that the Cats to get this done by, let's go by 10 points, and the big call is this game will not go further than 25 points, and one more big call, Shannon Neal kicks at least 2 goals. He's been absolutely magnificent last week against Collingwood, taking a big mark, and also Ollie Dempsey as well. Who's going to stop him? I want to say Shannon Neal and Ollie Dempsey to kick at least 2 goals. That's my big call. And last but not least, in the Mother's Day week, North Melbourne and Brisbane Lions to close out Mother's Day and Mother's Day week game. It's at Blundstone Arena. Well, you know what? North Melbourne, they're shocking. And it doesn't get any harder for them against the Brisbane Lions at Blundstone Arena. Even though it's at home, but the reigning premiers, they're so strong. They're 7-1. They can play anywhere. So, and yep, I'm going to say the Lions to get this done comfortably by like 65 points. And the big call, Charlie Cameron kicks 4 goals or more. Alright guys, there you go guys. That's going to do it for this round 9 footy tipping. If you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for everyone who tuned in and liked, comment, and subscribed to my YouTube channel and liked and commented my YouTube videos. And I'll all see you in my upcoming weekly vlog, which will come out really soon, like somewhere next week, alright? Thank you all for watching. See you again in another live stream or a YouTube video. And make sure you say Happy Mother's Day to your mum.